to tell you.
I tried to go there several times.
Yes, we escorted you to the appropriate place. But seriously, in this election, there is a young man. His name is Vincent Harrington, and he is running for the Democratic Central Committee. He's 22 years old and a graduate of Bishop McNamara, and I am supporting him, and I really hope that we will elect this young man. He comes from a phenomenal family. He is an excellent student, excellent human being. Well, he just graduated from the University of Maryland College Park. He's a Kappa. I'm a Sigma Gamma Rho, so I have a little indie love for him. But he is just a wonderful, wonderful person, and I hope that he has an opportunity to represent us.
I mean, that's a heck of a thing, 22 years old and stepping out there that way.
Absolutely.
And I've been trying to get Vincent on the show for the last couple of weeks, but his schedule has been extremely busy.
Well, I'll give him a shout out. Go Vincent.
Go Vincent. Go get him, man. We're going to vote for you, even though you're not here. Because we love you. All right, Keith. Once again, as you all know, ain't no party like a Roland Grimes party, because a Roland Grimes party,
Don't stop.
that's what I'm talking about. Hi, I'm Roland Bowler Grimes, your chocolate troglodyte. Yeah, I took you back on that one. Jimmy Castor Bunch. Your chocolate troglodyte in the house right now. I'm wearing my pink shirt. Now, real men really wear orange because I went to Syracuse. But every once in a while, we'll throw some pink on just to let folks know that we have some diversity in our midst. Having said that, now, it's not very common that a McNamara Mustang gets to sit with a Largo Lioness. When I went to McNamara, it was all boys, and Largo basically just banned us from coming over there because we just didn't know how to act back then in the early 80s. However, my next guest hails from the Washington, D.C. area, and she did her undergraduate work at the University of Maryland College Park over there with the turbans. I'm sorry, a fraudulent slip of the tongue. And she continued on to law school. I said fraudulent, because I was lying. I know what a Freudian slip of the tongue. I'll do that off camera. This was a fraudulent slip of the tongue. And I know, so she's a lawyer, so she's going to be debating me all night. And then after that, she decided to take her act over there on Georgia Avenue. And Van Ness. It's not Georgia Avenue?
No, that's the main campus. The law school was on Van
Ness. Oh, okay. All right, now, where's WHUR? Bryant Street? In the McDonald's? All right. And where's Ben's Chili Bowl?
Oh, that's on U Street.
We had an echo in here? What's up with that?
And that's Ben's next door.
Huh?
Oh,
there's another Ben's?
Next door.
There's two Ben's next door to each other?
The one's called Ben's next door.
Is that at a different location or is it next door?
It is literally next door.
So they just took over U Street completely?
Well, they've got their corner, or their section of the university, absolutely.
All right, so my nickname is Bubbles, so in the future we're going to have Bubbles Chili Bowl. But in the meantime, we're here at Everlasting Life where we have soulful vegan food. We call Everlasting Life the Hosperant, where you can come and like eat yourself healthy. Ladies and gentlemen, do me a favor if you would, as our candidate for Maryland State Attorney General and current Maryland State Delegate, Dr., I call her Doctor, but put your hands together for me for Ms. Aisha Braveboy. Aisha, when you came in, one of your communications persons, I believe she's your communications director, saw me hug you when you came in, and she said, "Oh, y'all know each other." And I was like, "Oh, that's right, Aisha didn't get a chance to tell her." So, you and I first met, I don't know if you remember this, at Forestville Mall.
I remember. You gave me a book.
Bryce Bevel, who was the football coach at Bishop McNamara at the time and is now working at Maryland University, he and I wrote a book about education, youth, etc. And we did a book signing, parenting. We did a book signing at Forestville Mall, and you came by.
I did. It was really important to me. You know, for the past 10 years, I've been working with a juvenile diversionary program, and I actually donated one of the books that I purchased to that program. We've diverted over 3,000 young people out of the criminal justice system and back into the schools.
Okay. Oh, back into school.
Back into school and on a path to success. We have an over 90% success rate, meaning these young people are not reoffending. So this is an excellent program, and we also help parents. And so your book is one of those that we keep in our library so that parents can have a resource to help them with their children. So I really want to thank you for that.
Man, thank you. And when you say divert them away from the criminal justice system and back in, Keisha, when you get a chance, can you turn the mic up for me just a little bit? Yeah. Divert them.
Yes. So
that's a general term.
Let me give you. So when a child is arrested, a juvenile is arrested, they are processed through the Department of Juvenile Services, and their cases are sent to our court system. But because we have this juvenile diversionary program called the Community Public Awareness Council, instead of those cases going to the courts and the child going before a judge, those children end up coming to community court, where volunteers are trained as hearing officers, and they act as the judge and jury, and they listen to the cases. The parent or guardian has to be there with the child, and once that case is heard, there's a determination made. If the child is determined to have been involved in whatever the negative activity was, then that child can have sanctions placed on them. What we typically do is, we have a mentoring program on Saturdays, so we can have them participate in our mentoring program. In addition to that, what we've learned is that a lot of young people have undiagnosed mental health issues. Many of them have family issues and they need family counseling. So we do have a number of service providers that work with our program to provide those additional support services. And that's why we're so successful, because we don't treat a child as a criminal. We treat them as a human being who made a mistake, but has the ability and talents to make a difference in this world, and we want to give them every opportunity to do that.
Now, you speak of this very passionately. When you decided to go to law school, honestly, I'm going to skip over the Largo part, and I'm going to
no, let's go back to Largo, because let me just say this. Largo is a wonderful school, and all the schools here in Prince George's County, both public and private, are wonderful. But I got a real foundation, not only in education, but also in service. And I was involved in the student government. I was involved in a lot of activities in my school. And I saw my mother get involved. My mother was my PTA president my senior year, which meant she went to the prom. Can you believe that? My mom went to my prom.
Killed your prom?
No. I'm a good girl.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it was prom.
And then when I graduated, when I walked across the stage, guess who got to shake my hand?
She had an opportunity to hand you the diploma and shake your hand. That had to be a special moment.
I cried. And it was so beautiful, and I love my mom. She is my hero, or Shiro, as you might say. My father is also very active, also obviously in my life. And they've been together, and it's just been a wonderful experience. But I learned the importance of service through her. Right. And when I started at Largo, Largo was sort of a general education kind of high school, but the parents fought. I saw my mom and about 4 or 5 other parents fight to create professional strands at the high school. And now those strands still are in existence. And I was the first class to be able to participate. I participated in the biotech strand, but there was law and public policy, entrepreneurship, and finance. So children who knew or believed they knew what they wanted to do in the future had an opportunity to get additional
they could break into it while they were.
And that was awesome, and it was because of those parents' insistence. And I realized then that 1 or 2 or 5 people can make a true difference, and they have. They left the legacy.
You know, and before we take our first break, the thing is, at what point does one wake up and say, I want to go into the law field?
Well, for me, it happened kind of late. I thought I was going into biotechnology, but throughout my career at the University of Maryland, I just really leaned towards, the classes I enjoyed the most. Those things that kind of came naturally to me were more in the social sciences. And so I ended up with a degree in government and politics, not necessarily because I wanted to go to law school, but because those were the issues that were important to me. And then I took a class with Donna Brazil, who I'm sure you have heard of, on
CNN and then some.
Yes, on the Voting Rights Act. And I tell you, it was through reading those cases, understanding how fragile our voting rights really are, that I developed, this love for the law and for justice. And so that's why I ended up going to law school.
That's amazing, again, because I remember my undergraduate year, Connie Timberlake, I believe she's since passed, but she was a professor at Syracuse. And she turned me onto a book called Blaming the Victim. And my life has never been the same since. And the thing is, I carried this book around with me everywhere I went. And just the sociological impact of at least the concept that there's nurture, there's nature, and then there are environmental forces that can be so compelling and so magnetizing or magnetic that it's hard to pull away from that. So if you see a herd of your brothers and sisters moving in one direction, it's real difficult to ostracize yourself and move into another direction. And I remember, athletics was one of those things that was really easy because all the big brothers, that's where we went. By the same token, when I started to see something move in another direction, I got real curious. So when I saw them playing chess, instead of shooting baskets, I said, well, let me find out about this chess thing. And you always risk being ridiculed and well, nowadays it's illegal to ridicule or bully, quote unquote, someone nowadays, but back then, people could talk about you real bad.
Oh, I know. Because I was talked about.
Were you?
I sure was.
Well, I get to talk, I'm joking. Look, we're going to take a quick station before I tell all my business here. And we'll be back in a few moments of Roland Grimes. Show live, not just sports entertainment. Sit tight, we'll be right back.